Hello folks and welcome back here. So one of the questions I've been getting is how do you invade a brand new map, or in this case, one of the next videos is actually going to be the brand new map, but how do you invade an established map or simply another map when you've already established yourself on a previous map? In other words, how do you gain another map? How do you get on another map? Well, there's several ways to do it. Because of the level of gameplay that is currently today, it's not like it was a year and a half or 2 years ago. Truthfully speaking, it is much more difficult. So, if you want to get on a map, the easiest way to get on a new map is to wait for someone to reset. When someone resets, you'll get... there's none on here now. Let me see if I can go to another map with some orange ones on it. Let's see here. Oh, there should be. Yeah. See these orange over here? Whenever someone resets, orange ones will pop up. They'll become neutral planets. Now, granted, you won't be able to get them. You'll have to use a noob account or wait for someone else to get them and try to steal it. But that's really the easiest and, quite honestly, the most predominant way that you can get on new maps now. Now, you can do it the old-fashioned way. Search all over the place and try to find one where there's a green left or even a red with a handful of guns on it. Now, you can do it not having any planets on the map, but it'll take you an awfully long time. A lot more so with the red rather than the green. I was originally going to record how I got on this map and kind of the strategy and the thinking behind it and what you have to do if you want to invade an enemy map with other players on it that have no problem trying to take you out. This map in particular, I originally struck up a deal with the individuals on it. Basically, we came up with a non-aggression pact. This was one of those maps that had a reset on it. We saw it. We had no idea who was on the map. It didn't matter. I mean, once you see those oranges pop up on an already established map, the map is free game for anybody, regardless of advancement or skill level. But anyhow, we saw the oranges and we started to take the planets. Lo and behold, the individuals who were here, apparently they had the whole map and were up in arms that we started taking planets. Well, that's not our problem or our fault. It's not my responsibility to check who has the map, and all this aside, that's just the way the game is played. You don't like it, play another game or deal with it. It's not, like I said, it's not my problem. But anyhow, I struck up a deal with the guys here. I said, if you don't attack us, we won't attack you. We'll live in peace. We'll just use this as a storage map, essentially. So, long story short, one day I log on and I find them breaking the map. For whatever reason, they decided to go against their word, and you know, like in real life in a game, your word is everything. That's all you have to go on. And once you break it, man, that's over. It takes a whole lot of time to earn that trust back. So we started with a handful of planets, and you can see now what we do have here. We're pretty established on here for a map with a player. These players, they aren't expert players, but they do know how to play. So there's a level of, you can't treat these guys like noobs, but by that same token, the skill level isn't quite there yet. But regardless of the enemy's skill level, regardless of what map it is, if you want to invade a new map, even if you have a handful of planets on there, there's a few things that you have to do to ensure your success, regardless of the players existing on the map. I mean, as the old saying goes, you really don't want to underestimate anybody or anything, because there may be a player on there that you just don't know about that's a lot more skilled than you think they are. We've pretty much figured out who these guys are on this map and their overall skill level. But getting back to what I was saying, if you want to get on a new map, if you want to start a new map, how do you do that? Well, in this particular case, like I said, we started off with taking orange bases. Now, what do you do from there? Once you have these orange bases, which are now converted into your bases for yourself and your alliance, well, what do? You can start looking around for easy planets to take, which is usually the best thing to do and oftentimes what you have to do. At first, you have to get any kind of planet that you can. Without planets, you don't get military, you don't get economy, you don't get groups. You essentially have no way to advance within the map. So you can start out by taking anything easy that you find around here. We found a green one here. I found another green one up here. But after that, I mean, there may be a handful more in here. I haven't searched each and every individual base. I just haven't sunk the time into it. But what do you do? How do you get your assets from this map or from your existing maps to this map? Once you've figured out how to do that, where and how do you set up a beachhead? After you've done that, how do you make conduits to said beachhead in order to take more planets? While I'm not going to actually do that here, it's already been done. I'm going to tell you the process that I took to do it. So initially, like I said, we started off with taking bases anywhere we could. I grabbed some over here, these were relatively easy, and a few of the other guys from my alliance grabbed ones that were around here. Namely the ones that were green and ones with a handful of blue. I'm sorry, a handful of red rather. Now, once you've gathered those up, you've essentially taken anything on the map that was easy. Now, when you're limited on groups, you can't just pick anything that you want. You have to be very choosy as to what bases you go after and why you go after them. So, for instance, we started up here, the kind of top middle. We chose to make this the beachhead. Why did we choose that? We have access to 3 different wormholes, and we had initially like 3 planets here that worked out just enough that we could access those 3 wormholes. So once we got these here, we had to look around and say, how are we going to get assets to this little spot that we've set up here? So looking at the wormholes, you have to make sure that you have a conduit from those wormholes to where your beachhead is established, and preferably a conduit that your enemy can't see. Because if they can see it, they're going to start following your ships, going to figure out your routines, and they're going to destroy the stuff you're bringing over. At least any decent alliance would do that. So what did we have to do here? So once we established this beachhead, we started gathering up other external planets that were around here. We wanted to expand the space, and we put up sensors and detectors so it wasn't so easy for the enemy alliance on this particular map to bring Rabos and search through everything and destroy things. Now, originally, I started out by keeping a few Carls on here. I wanted to see just who I was dealing with. The fact that people are destroying Carls in a more advanced way, and I don't have the infrastructure set up on this particular map, at least it's not set up yet, to store heavy ships on here. So I just started sending them back over to their previous maps. But when you're setting up your infrastructure, like I said, you want to make sure that you stay close to these wormholes in order to transfer ships. Now, what maps do you want to make sure that you have access to get your stuff over here? Well, mainly, you want to make sure your original home map, if you sometimes you can't do it, but you want to make sure that your original initial home map is able to get over here without any problems whatsoever. Reason being is that's where most of your fodder generation is from, especially if you're using Wentz. If you're going to take blue bases and you don't have enough planets on the particular map, on your target map, to create enough cell, your best bet, and really your only option here is to choose whence. You get the best bang for your buck. So from here on map 70, as you can see here, I have a whole bunch of whence all set up ready to go over. Let's send one over and watch where it pops out at. Now, as you can see here, these whence pop up right here. So initially, I wasn't able to send them through here. We had to take this base. So I was able to get a conduit from my home map to this particular map in order to send up assets up here relatively quickly and hopefully not being seen. Now, the only way anybody's going to be able to see anything here is if they have a Rabo sticking around here somewhere. And it's quite possible. Usually the newer and even kind of intermediate guys don't do that. Me in particular, if I'm targeting you or I want to observe you, I will have Rabos stationed at most of your wormhole exits. So if you have the assets moving back and forth through the maps, I'll be able to see it without you knowing about it. I usually study you for a week or two, then I'll choose to make my move. So we first had to make sure that we had like I said, a conduit from our home map, my particular home map, to here. Once that is established, you can then start moving to your other maps. Let's take 236 for example. This particular wormhole here, I can relatively easily get more fodder over here. This won't come up in the exact same spot, but it'll be very similar to it, and they won't be able to see it. Let's go ahead and wait for this to get up here, and I'll show you where it exits. These only have a speed of 2, so they take a little bit. Once you get later on in the game and you get enough planets, you can start making fodder for free. I know I've said that before, but in this particular map, I make Sino for free. And I make usually around 30 groups of them for free. So it works out pretty well. Alright, so once this gets sent over, let's see where she pops out at. Alright, in this instance, we're popping out right here. Now remember, it didn't render. I have so many things open. The game's not rendering properly. But there's an enemy planet right here. They don't have the ability to see it without a sensor. And unless they just put a sensor up, they still shouldn't have the ability to see it. Let's check. Okay, so this is a red planet. There's no sensor on it. There's nothing to worry about as far as this is concerned. So they can't see from here to here. If they had a sensor, they could see up beyond here, probably till about here. So, but they don't. So, like I said, I don't have to worry about it. But again, this is all about creating conduits, preferably ones that can't be seen, to wherever you're establishing your beachhead at, or where you've established your beachhead at. So where do we go from here? Well, we've taken everything easy, at least everything that we've seen that was easy. Sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to it. You just have to get planets, otherwise you can't do a darn thing. So we've taken everything easy that we found. Originally, we wouldn't have done any of this because that was the agreement that we made, but certain parties involved decided to just ignore it. The problem is, when you're the number one alliance and the person or the group that is choosing to ignore the nap with you is dozens of ranks lower. I mean, dozens of ranks lower. That's probably one of the most foolish things you can possibly do, because we were perfectly fine with not taking anything on this map. But that's also part of the game. You get people who are deceptive and they try to get one over on you, but trying to get one over on the number one alliance, it doesn't work out too well for you. We have assets far, far beyond you do, especially in an alliance like this. Anyhow, so what do we do from here? Well, there's a couple things that we can do. Depending on what's around, we could start on the corners. We could start going forward from this beachhead. Generally speaking, though, the best thing you can do next, once this is established, is you need to secure the area where your wormholes are. So instead of starting on a corner or just starting in a random place and taking planets, we want to finish securing this beachhead. So what we're going to do, and I know the Alliance, or at least some of the members, are going to be listening to this, so pay attention. I'm telling you what I'm going to do next, or what we're going to do next. We're going to take the planets that surround, like I said, this sucks. I can't get it to render the whole way because I've got so many things open. But we're going to start taking the planets that surround these two middle wormholes here. What that'll do is it'll give us a more secure area in the middle to bring assets over. And from there, we'll then expand this beachhead. Then we'll probably go out from here towards the south. And then we'll continue taking over the map until there's not a whole lot that they can do. Well, there really isn't much more to this. Like I said, there's many ways that you can get on a map, but it all depends on your particular situation. This one just happened to be just right. There were, like I said, new planets, and we were able to grab them. You may not have that particular situation present itself. Hopefully in the next couple of days, a new map will open up and I'll be able to complete the video of getting on a brand new map that just opened up. That's actually easier than doing this. Like I said, though, assuming you don't have players that pre-go there and pre-stage the map, but we'll deal with that if we come to it. But anyhow, that's essentially one of several ways that you can go on taking not a brand new map, but an already established map that another alliance already has. You just got to be very careful about how you go about doing it, because if you don't study who your enemy is, you don't know who's on the other side. For all you know, you could be walking into a situation where you try to get on a map that, say, Prometheus is on. And while you can try to do that, you may even be successful. You're not going to stay on that map, I can assure you. So, scout, look around, establish your beachhead, establish your conduits to that beachhead once it's secure. Then secure where your beachhead and your conduits actually are. From there, you'll be able to start taking the map and taking it very effectively and efficiently too. Now, naturally, you're going to come across some kind of pushback from your enemy alliance, or even several if there are several there. That's why you need to establish your beachhead. Furthermore, Once you've done that, make sure that I know it's expensive. I know it takes a lot of molve. They intentionally design it that way. But if you want to keep these bases that you've probably spent hours scouting and making sure you can keep them, it's all pointless if you don't put the investment in on the base itself. So at the very minimum, if you don't want to build up anything else on the base, get your guns to 30 blue. That's at least for the first handful of planets that you have on here. Realistically speaking though, until you've got like at least, I'd say 25-30% of the map, you're really going to need to have your guns at 30. It's only until after that that you can start at maybe putting up 20 guns, maybe 25 guns. Because it'll be a lot easier for you to stop their advance or stop them from trying to take their planets back. So anyhow, if you have any questions, comments, anything else you want to see, anything specific to this that you want to know that I didn't explain or could explain better, simply let me know down in the comments and I'll be more than happy to let you know. As always, thank you my friends and take care.